Good evening. Welcome to the 127th school year in Scottsdale Unified School District. I call to order the regular governing board meeting of the Scottsdale Unified School District number 48 Governing Board. Today is Tuesday, August 8th. The time is 6 p.m. Vice President Werner, can you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the
Thank you. Being that this is the first meeting of this school year tonight, out of respect for our land and our ancestral heritage, I will read aloud our land acknowledgement in its entirety as written by Angela Garcia Lewis. It is vitally important to acknowledge the land we live and work on is the homeland of the native people who have inhabited this landscape for millennia and continues to be spiritually connected to the Otham Desert people of the Salt River Pima, Maricopa community, also known as SRPMIC, who live here today. The SRPMIC is located in central Arizona, nearest the city of Scottsdale, Arizona, within the metropolitan area of Phoenix, Arizona. The SRPMIC is a confederation of two unique cultures with their own languages, customs, cultures, religions, and histories. The Otham, known as the Pima, and the Pipash, known as the Maricopa, both the Odom and the Pipash are oral history cultures. The SRPMIC and the Gila River Indian Community claim Aboriginal territories of lands exclusively used and occupied by the Acamel, Otham, Pima, and Pipash, Maricopa, equaling 3,751,000 acres of south central Arizona, and was adjudicated in 1970 by the U.S. Indian Claims Commission under docket 228, acknowledging the colonization and illegal ceding of these lands. Recent anthropologic studies recognize the ancestral land use area of the Otham, Pipash, and their ancestors to include a much more extensive area, including lands west from the east along the present-day New Mexico border across Arizona to the far west as the Pacific coast, and from north to south from present-day Utah in the north, including the lands directly along the entire Colorado River and further south to Baja California and other parts of northern Mexico, northward of the Sierra Occidental, where there are still Otham villages there that are a part of the Tohono Otham Nation. These include all areas inhabited by the Hohokam, Salado, Patayan cultures, as well as those ancestral to these groups. The landscape is sacred, and it reflects cultural values that are central to our way of life and to the way we define ourselves. The oral history and the song culture of the people are specifically tied to tangible places like the mountains that surround our valleys and are associated with specific history, cultural, and religious values. Those places are tangible reminders to our people about our shared attitudes, goals, and practices that characterize who we are, where we belong, and how we related to each other in the past, continuing today and into the future. Our oral histories use places to remind them what happened in a geographic region during a specific period of time. Our song culture used the same processes to describe the direct sacred pilgrimages across the Southwest. Our ancestors did not conceive of a time when human beings could destroy or own the landscape. They didn't think it was possible And more so, our ancestors never foresaw a time when any human being would ever want to do that, because the destruction would obliterate our links to our ancestors. At this time, I'd like to request a roll call from our governing board members, starting from my far right.
Amy Carney.
Zach Lindsay.
Karen Warner.
Go ahead.
Hartwells.
Dr. Hartwells is in the call tonight.
Hartwells.
Yep. And I'm Julie Sinowski. Are there any requests regarding our agenda this evening?
Yes, I would like to amend,
Board Member Carney.
yes, I'd like to amend the agenda, please.
Go ahead.
I'd like to pull item 8G, personnel action items, off of consent agenda, as I have a conflict of interest because I have a dependent on there, and so I will be recusing myself from that vote.
You'd like to pull it off the agenda, or you are
Well, if I don't have to pull it off, but I think I do, don't I?
Well, to separate the vote.
To separate the vote.
separate the vote? Okay.
Yep.
So the recusal will come when we get to that point?
Correct, I was just explaining.
Okay. Anything else?
No, thank you.
Are there any other amendments to our agenda this evening? Dr. Hartwells, do you have any you'd like to make? Hearing none from Dr. Hartwells, I would like to make a motion for an amendment, and that would be to call for an executive session this evening that, so that we can receive legal advice regarding the KEB complaint that is a subject item 9A. My request would, I think, most logically take place after 9B has completed, but I'll leave that to council's approval there. Okay, the agenda has been amended. I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Oh, go ahead, Dr. Hartwells.
I would like
You're kind of cutting in and
to
out.
pull item J.
Did you say J?
Item J.
HJ, okay, thank you. Anything else, Dr. Hartwells, other than 8J?
No.
Thank you. Okay, so we have some amendments made. There are three, two to the consent agenda, and one asking for an addition to our executive sessions. Seeing that there are no other requests to amend the agenda, I will make another motion to amend the agenda, or to approve the agenda as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Board Member Lindsay. All in favor, say aye.
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 That motion passes 5-0 with an amended agenda. All right. I'm going to read right now the meeting decorum statement. Citizens attending and/or participating in the Scottsdale Unified School District meetings, either in person, virtually, or telephonically, are required to observe the same rules of order and decorum applicable to the members of the governing board and staff. Unauthorized remarks or demonstrations from the members of the audience, yells, outbursts, and/or disruptions are not permitted. Members of the public are not allowed to approach the dais at any time while the governing board meeting is in session without express permission from the governing board president. At this time, we are going to move on to 3 on our agenda, which is student and staff recognitions and celebrations. Dr. Menzel.
Good evening, President Sinowski, Vice President Werner, and members of the governing board, and welcome to the 2023-24 school year. We are excited about what's ahead for Scottsdale Unified in the year ahead. In the past, we have not had celebrations to share during the first regular meeting of the school year, but we do tonight. We want to share with you a couple of things that took place over the summer that are worthy of celebrating no matter when, because kids. Our Director of Teaching and Learning, Dr. Kim Dodds-Karen, gets the fun ones. Please start us, Dr. Dodds-Karen.
Good evening, President Sanowski, Vice President Werner, governing board members, Dr. Menzel, and Ms. Wagner. It is my privilege to present to you tonight 2 celebrations, both which demonstrate the community-mindedness of SUSD students even during summer vacation. First up, I'd like to invite 3 Saguaro High School students to join me at the podium: Cameron Friedman, Caitlin Friedman, and London Ecoff, and also Assistant Principal Dan Milligan. A 4th student, Maya Otto, is unable to join us this evening. On June 24th, with the McDowell Sonoran Conservancy, SUSD was pleased to co-sponsor the Children's Learning and Play Festival at Westworld, which you see up here on the screen. The event drew an estimated 5,000 people of all ages, families, babies, preschoolers, elementary, middle school, high school students, including generations up to grandparents. They came from all over the valley to learn about life in the Sonoran Desert from STEM educators, authors, students, and us in SUSD. We want to thank Copper Ridge Principal Tim Eierman and our Safety and Security Director Josh Friedman for helping to man the district table. And if you are noticing a similarity with Josh's last name and 2 of our students, they are indeed his children. Josh is father to Cameron and Caitlin. I've adopted London. We had quite a bonding day. Our booth was hopping all day, and it was full of inquisitive kids and parents. It was an opportunity for us to talk about SUSD and our world-class, future-focused education programs. And while I hate to admit it, the stars of the show were indeed the Madagascar hissing cockroaches. I'll never forget, London was ready to go. She's like, I've got this, Dr. Dodds. And then all these people showed up, and it was London. And all these people. So I had no choice. I had to grab the hissing cockroaches. And then for the remainder of the day, even while one started to give birth, we had the Madagascar hissing cockroaches. London noticed it. She quickly Googled that something didn't seem right with one particular hissing cockroach. She made a nice little sign and asked to please leave that hissing cockroach alone. Right? Yeah. Mama in birth, I think, is what she wrote on the decoration. Our large SUSD display also had a desert insect coloring table and a table that showed and explained what owls eat and how we know by studying owl pellets. Talk about science. It was a full day event, and SUSD's part of it would not have been successful without the assistance of our students. Cameron was brave enough to wear the cockroach costume for the day, and each student jumped right in to share their love of SUSD. We want to give Cameron and Caitlin and London and also Maya challenge coins to show them our appreciation, and we also want to thank the Echo Canyon Critter Farm and our careful tenders to the Critter Farm for supplying us the starring role of our hissing cockroaches. So, Cameron, thank you. Okay, at this time, I'd like to invite a large group of people. When you hear your name called, I'm going to ask you to kind of form a line with Miss Stacy. At this time, I'd like to invite Susie Armijo, Phoenix Carney, Nathan Klaus, Samantha Dixon, Gregory Jonovich, Draven Jones, Elgin Macias, Brandon Marsh, Nicholas Miranda, Mio Moreno, Cody Ranke, Andre Vasquez, and our Team 7 coordinator, Stacy Parker, to the podium. And Zach and Dee Dee, you can come on up now, too.
And then can we have the other champions I have there? Just call it the other Team 7 champions.
Sure, and if there are other Team 7 champions that are here with us tonight, if you'll please come stand up here, too.
Patty, Dave.
You want to come over here?
There we go. All right. Just pick a person. We should have practiced.
No, we're perfect. Thank you. As you will recall, at the May 16th meeting, you approved the purchase of science instructional materials for middle school and high school students. Thank you again. The adoption of new materials was essential to replace materials that predate the issuance of the 2018 Arizona Science Standards and Next Generation Science Standards. The adoption process began in January of this year and culminated with your vote in May, but that is not the end to what it takes to get these materials into the hands of our students and teachers. As you might imagine, the purchase resulted in thousands of materials being delivered to the SUSD warehouse in early June. In fact, at one point, there were 40 pallets waiting to be cataloged, sorted, barcoded, stocked, repackaged, and prepared for storage and shipping out to our schools. That's when Team 7 came to our rescue. Here to tell you a little bit about Team 7 is its coordinator and co-founder, Stacy Parker.
Good evening, President Shanowski and board members. Thank you for this opportunity to recognize the Team 7 program. We are very excited to be here. We've been around in the district for about 14 years, and as you can tell, it takes a village. And this is just a little portion of the lives that touch our kids through this program. It's a hands-on vocational program that's a full-year program during the school year at all 5 high schools. And in the summer, we're lucky enough to hire these top of the top kids to work for the district. So they get really, truly hands-on experience. So we wanted to let you know that not only do the kids get to learn from all the SUSD employees, we love that it also changes the lives of our mentors, which are the SUSD employees, because our kids bring so much joy. We would like to, if you would allow us, President Shanowski, if the kids could approach you and give you thank you notes. We handed out 75 already over the district, so we wanted to bring you all some. So hopefully they'll go to the right person if that's okay with you.
Please do, yes.
Thank you. So go up. You guys go up. Go right there. Go. You're going to go right to Miss Kit Carney. There we go. There we go. And that's it for us. Thank you all so much for your support.
Team 7 superstars, stick around for a minute because there's still some more. Thank you, Stacy. Overseeing this massive project with Stacy were also our warehouse supervisor, Zach Doyle, here in the blue shirt, instructional materials specialist, Gidget Von Gotten, not physically present, our instructional materials coordinator, Dee Dee Johnston. We want to thank you because we know how much time it takes to prepare everything to allow others to also facilitate the continued work. Other SUSD departments and functions have been the beneficiaries of Team 7's volunteer work over the years, among them Patty Bilbray from Nutrition Services and Dave Hoschreiter from Facilities. If there are others in the audience who we have not recognized, please stand so we can recognize you. We can't thank you enough. And kids, we want to provide you with what's called an SUSD Challenge Coin for all the work you have done to support us. So maybe, Dee Dee, if you just kind of approach the students and hand it to them that way, that would be great. Thank you so much, Team 7. We'll be bringing you back.
Thank you, Dr. Dodds, Karen, and Team 7. To have SUSD students contributing in these significant ways to our overall community is both appreciated and deeply inspiring. So grateful to see the work that they've done this year. There is one more celebration this evening. As you know, because kids is our theme, we are intentional about keeping the focus where it needs to be, and that is on our students and their success. It is behind every consideration and every decision that we make, and it goes well beyond students, teachers, classrooms, and the schools. Being responsible fiscal stewards of the money the district receives from its funding sources and managing those resources to the highest standards in school business calls to our Because Kids theme. Because if we don't manage our money wisely, we cannot deliver world-class, future-focused learning that we have committed to provide. There's a formidable team in our finance department, led by our Chief Financial Officer, Shannon Crozier, that expertly manages our finances every day. As a result of their outstanding work, Scottsdale Unified School District is once again the recipient of the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting from the Association of School Business Officials International. This Certificate of Excellence for the 2022 fiscal year says Scottsdale Unified met the program's high standards for financial reporting and transparency. In order to be eligible to earn this recognition, SUSD submits its annual comprehensive financial report to a team of financial professionals that looks at every aspect of our district operations. The team may or may not decide to issue a certificate of excellence after this review. However, Scottsdale has participated for 31 consecutive years, and I am pleased to announce that we were yet again awarded this recognition, and I want to thank Shannon Crozier and the entire finance team for their outstanding work. And that will conclude our celebrations this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Menzel. It's a great way to start off our school year with student celebrations as well as our staff celebrations, including finances. Thanks. We're going to move on to governing board reports. Board Member Carney, do you have a governing board report this evening?
Should be green this time.
Push your mic on.
Oh.
There. Oh.
There we go.
Okay.
Thank you, President Snowski. I just wanted to say I hope everyone had a great summer and a great first day back to school. I enjoyed getting to attend the back to school rally for the first time with everyone and getting to be at the ribbon cutting ceremony at Tavon Elementary last week. I also got to meet with Patty with Nutrition Services with Board Vice President Werner. And we got to learn everything and more about our nutrition services. So that was really, really great and helpful. I just wanted to mention that we do have some district committees openings for people to apply for. So the Secondary Novel Review Committee, which I was a part of before becoming a board member, has some openings right now, the Self-Insurance Trust, and I saw that the Audit Committee went up today. So you can check those out and get involved at susd.org/committee. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Board Member Carney. Board Member Lindsay? No report. Dr. Hartwells, do you have a governing board report to share this evening?
They're working on our connection.
They are?
Get it better, so.
Okay. I've just heard that we're working on our connection, trying to get it better. I'll circle back to her. Vice President Werner.
Well, welcome back. I'm spoiled. We're green. There we go. So welcome back, and I appreciate all of you who have come today and who are watching online. I have a huge thank you to the Charos for quickly filling a need in one of our schools. They stepped up in a very short period of time, and I'm just so grateful that we have these supportive organizations. And I also want to thank the other organizations that are providing for our schools. We really can't do it all without you. I attended the new teacher orientation and the back to school rally last week, and it was awesome to see all the teachers and staff and see all the new faces of the people that are the teachers that are joining us. It's always great to talk to and hear from the teachers and our staff and hear what's going on for them. And I always look forward to, and I'm very open to meetings. And I look forward to really working together, finding common ground and moving our district forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Werner. Dr. Hartwells, well, let's try that again. Do you have anything to share? Hearing that there is not a request from her, I'd just like to thank our community. Our rebuilds at Tavon and Pueblo are the result of our 2016 bond that our voters approved. Thank you, the community and the staff members and the students deserve those beautiful facilities, so I hope you get a chance to not just see the new built ones, but participate in what's going on our campuses this school year. The back to school welcome event was spectacular, as my colleagues have shared there. It's a great reminder of the reasons we do our work, as Dr. Menzel alluded to, and that is because kids. So I look forward to a great school year ahead of us. Seeing that there are no other requests from Dr. Hartwells to share a governing board report, we'll move on to agenda item 5, which is public comments. This governing board has adopted governing board policy BEDH, which includes the following information. personal attacks upon board members, staff personnel, or other persons in attendance or absent by individuals who address the board are discouraged. The board follows a process in Governing Board Policy KEB for complaints about staff members. Personnel issues are best addressed through this process set up under Governing Board Policy KEB and via other applicable personnel policies. In that manner, the rights of all involved are observed. Once your name is called this evening, please approach the podium. Don't move the microphone or the filter, I'm going to ask, because we will be able to hear you as long as you're speaking nice and clearly from the microphone. If you need any support, you can ask for support at the microphone. You will have 2 minutes to address the board. When you approach the podium, again, please state your first and last name and your association with our Scottsdale Unified School District. Up first is Julie Young. Followed by Jock McCormack.
Good evening, board members. My name is Julie Young. I'm a product of Hopi Elementary, Ingleside Middle School, and Arcadia High School, and my 4 children all went to Hopi, Ingleside, and Arcadia as well. I did work as the librarian at Hopi Elementary School while I pursued my master's degree in clinical mental health counseling. The reason I am speaking now is because I'm married to a stellar and compassionate teacher, Mr. Faulkner. We are here at this board meeting because Veronica Hale has created a delusional narrative, regardless of truth or facts. When Veronica Hale made an accusation towards my husband, the COCOPA administration did their due diligence and found no violation. This was not enough. When the school resource officer interviewed my husband, they found there was no wrongdoing to report. This was not enough. When the school district did a 2-month-long exhaustive investigation, they too found no violation, and that was not enough. Veronica Hale then turned to social media, plastering her defamatory accusation and delusional narrative for the public to read and react with real-world consequences, such as strangers coming to my home as one did this morning. My husband, who has done nothing wrong, is now being called a pedophile and predator in the public square. This too is not enough for Veronica Hale. She then sent out hateful emails to parents of incoming students, causing fear, distress, resulting in children being moved out of my husband's classroom, and fomenting a whisper campaign against my husband, who has done nothing wrong. The facts are not enough for Veronica Hale. They just don't figure into her delusional narrative. It is my hope and prayer that you are sophisticated and savvy enough to see through the salacious accusations, the fear-mongering, the bullying, and the threats of media exposure, that you will see the truth and respect the indisputable facts that my husband did not violate any district policy. Thank you.
Jackie McCormack, followed by Amber Parks.
Good evening, board. My name is Jackie McCormack. I am Julie's sister, and David is my brother-in-law. I am also a product of Scottsdale Unified School District, as are my 3 children. I'm speaking tonight from a place of absolute outrage. I've watched carefully from the very beginning of summer when these allegations were first made against David, someone whom I've known very, very well over the last 10 years, and have watched his disbelief and devastation at the accusation and absolutely shake him to the core. I've seen his careful cooperation and consultation with school and district leadership and Scottsdale Police from the beginning, at every step of the way, sincerely believing all the truth would be sorted from hysterical assumptions, and that his professional integrity, which he has carefully maintained for over a decade, would prevail. I think he has shown extraordinary poise in the face of these defamatory and slanderous accusations. Ms. Hale didn't get the outcome she sought in the formal investigation, so she chose to engage in malicious, mob-like, and dangerous behavior towards David. If the district wasn't going to fire him, then she'd make sure that she'd whip up parents into a frenzy, creating a hostile work environment for him, maybe in the hopes that he would just leave. There is no excuse for this behavior. He is a celebrated teacher who prides himself as being a part of COCOPA and SUSD family. This unwarranted targeting behavior must end. It's solely based on wild assumptions, and my hope would be that the Cocoa Paw parents on the receiving end of these vile lies and letters would see through all of it. But rarely do people take the time to sidestep high emotion and look at facts. As the board, I hope you will do just that. The goal is to destroy David and his career, whether it is warranted or not. Thank you.
Heather Mayhew, followed by Susan Winder. Oh, I'm sorry, Amber Parks, followed by Heather Mayhew. Thank you, Dr. Mansell.
Hi, my name is Amber Parks, and my daughter has been at Scottsdale Unified since kindergarten. She did have David Faulkner last year, and about 3 weeks into school, she said, "Mommy, I don't feel right about this guy. I feel very uncomfortable in his class, and I feel like he's a pervert." My daughter was 11 at the time. She's never spoken like that about anybody. And so I, of course, took it seriously. I did a deep dive trying to see if there was any information about him that I could find. I asked her, "What is your experience?" So she said during volleyball, she heard that he would try to look up girls' shorts and look at their bottoms. In the bathroom, she experienced him knocking, opening up the girls' bathroom, sticking his head in and saying, "Girls, it's time for class." She said that there typically was a faculty bathroom, and he would choose to go into the bathroom with the boys. He wouldn't wear shoes around the classroom, which just seems a little bit odd. And all of this kind of just wasn't adding up for me. And then I heard about the mirrors in the front of the classroom. Veronica's experience as a mother and as an educator is she could see up all of the girls' skirts as she was around teaching. So I asked my daughter about the mirrors. They were up all year. I have pictures of the mirrors. I have timestamps from children. You can actually, she could see her reflection. These are 11-year-old children. They don't know to keep their legs crossed. They're small children. She said that certain girls would be up in the front, and typically it was girls that had skirts on. And so I just feel like this investigation needs to be looked at a little bit more closely, because this is just a child's point of view. This isn't my point of view. This is my daughter's.
Heather Mayhew, followed by Susan Winder.
Hi, I'm Heather Mayhew. I'm here with my son Ian Mayhew and his dad Mark Mayhew, and I'm a community member. I'm also an employee. I stand before you tonight just to express our displeasure about Ian not being allowed to play football for the Chaparral team. At the age of 3, Ian was diagnosed with multiple disabilities and then autism at age 5. He's been after 6th grade, we received the Empowerment Scholarship and placed him in schools where he's been away from the overwhelming halls of kids. He attends a one-to-one school where he continues to excel academically. And emotionally, he's become much more mature, so much so that he took the initiative to get a job at the age of 14. He's come a long way and has grown into the young man who stands before you all tonight. We were told that because Ian wasn't enrolled as a student or homeschool student, that he was ineligible to participate in extracurriculars due to AIA guidelines. But you see, per the ESA handbook, Scottsdale Unified School District can use discretion whether or not to allow a special ed ESA student to participate in clubs, sports activities, and the like with their peers. The district can also use discretion whether or not to approve open enrollment requests from students outside the district. As a community, we all saw how numerous out-of-district students' open enrollment was accepted for students intending to play football at Chaparral. Ian's father and I maintain residences within the district. We've paid taxes here for over 2 decades. I've been an employee in the district for over 15 years. We are vested members of the community and are asking for the district to allow our child to participate in the football program at Chaparral High School, even though he's an ESA student with a disability. As parents, we all want what's best for our kids. As teachers, we all want what's best for our students. And as governing board members, I believe you all want what's best for all children. We're asking that the district reconsider their discretion and allow Ian to play football because kids. Thank you.
Susan Winder, followed by Katie Smith.
Good evening. My name is Susan Winder, and my grandchildren attend Cocopah and Chaparral. I am what you call one of your usuals. First, I would like to remind you that students who attend SUSD belong to their parents or guardians. They are on loan to you to educate, not parent. Parents and guardians can choose where their children go to school, and apparently about 50% of the SUSD student population choose to go other places. Could that be because you keep gym teachers who watch on their cell phones porn, or because teachers get away with making crude and inappropriate comments to female students, or because you hire principals that students and teachers do not want, or because you have a male teacher who has mirrors in his room to look up girls' skirt? Why would any teacher need 36 by 36 mirrors in their room? I thank God that my grandson is a male, so I don't have to worry about that situation. As you are keenly aware, I'm a retired educator at many levels, and I am embarrassed and ashamed of what schools have become, particularly SUSD. You believe your 60% to 70% scores on your tests are great because they make some of the highest in the state. Unfortunately, Arizona ranks somewhere between 46 to 48 in the U.S. in achievement. You give out the challenge coins so that you can brag about some of what you think are the good things going on in your district. And I mean no disrespect to those students. They earn them, but rarely do they reflect academic achievement. Shame, shame, shame on you. We are coming after your 3 board seats, and I pray to God that we are allowed to take them back so that SUSD can get back to teaching, learning, and achievement.
Katie Smith is up, followed by Sally Nurk.
I'm Katie Smith, a parent of 2 children in the SUSD district. From the moment I read the email from Veronica Hale about the accusations of Mr. Faulkner, I felt disgusted and uneasy. First of all, I'm beyond grateful that my child at Cocopah has never been in the classroom of this predator. However, other children haven't been that lucky. Since the news of the strategically placed mirrors broke, I've heard of multiple stories about both boys and girls that have felt uncomfortable in the presence of this man. I also know of girls that have joined and quickly quit the volleyball team because he makes them feel uncomfortable. There are others that flat out just won't play because he's the coach. As parents, we send our children to school as a place for them to learn, a place where we feel confident that they are in an environment where they are protected by their teachers and administration. A place where teachers and administrators treat the children like they would want their own children to be treated. Unfortunately, after the incident that was uncovered at Cocopah in May, there's a general lack of trust in the teachers, administrators of the school and the Scottsdale School District in keeping students safe. I must question why there are no policies or procedures in place to handle these types of accusations. Also, when such accusations are made and allegedly investigated, why is there no procedure to let the families of the school know about the findings so they feel confident having their children in the classroom or on a sports team of an alleged predator? The most concerning question I have is why was the first action taken by the principal to protect the teacher without even considering the safety of the students? Sadly, it's not a matter of if something like this is going to happen again, it's a matter of when it will happen again. Therefore, we need to come together as a community and get rid of the people with power that are willing to cover up these heinous acts and those that perform them in the first place. Proper policies and procedures must be put in place to reassure the parents of SUSD that our children are in a safe place to learn, grow, and prosper.
Sally Nurk, followed by Amy Coxhead.
Hi, good evening, board. My name is Sally Gnurk. My son is a freshman at SHAP. He just finished 3 years at Cocopah, and my daughter started her 6th grade year at Cocopah on Monday. I am an active and involved parent who volunteered at my kids' elementary school frequently. I am also a dedicated advocate for children. I currently serve on 2 nonprofit boards in the Valley, Friends of the Children and Teach for America. Both organizations support teachers and children in Title I schools. I am here today as a concerned parent and as an advocate for children and their safety while at school. The mirrors that David Faulkner placed in his classroom, which allowed him to view children below the waist, is wrong. My son, who had Mr. Faulkner as a teacher in 2020 when he was in 6th grade, recalls seeing those mirrors placed then 3 years ago. My son, as a sixth grader, always referred to Mr. Faulkner as creepy and said he always gave extra attention to the girls in the class. He also gave lots of candy and baked goods to attract kids into his classroom outside of his instructional hours. These are not characteristics of someone who should be around our children, and I'm asking the board to protect our kids.
Amy Coxhead, followed by Stacy DeMaranville.
Hello, my name is Amy Coxhead, and I'm an SUSD parent. I'm speaking today on behalf of my close friend, Veronica Hale. The moment I met Veronica 10 years ago, I knew she would be a forever friend. She's taught my daughter's preschool. Her kindness radiates through her service and her incredible love for teaching. She's an incredible friend. She's the kind of woman who listens more than she speaks. She isn't one to spread rumors or gossip. She speaks truth. When Veronica told me what happened last week, I was in total shock. I felt awful knowing that she had held this turmoil in all summer. She did that because she trusted in SUSD and its policies and its investigation. The facts are, there were large mirrors leaning under the smartboard in Mr. Faulkner's classroom. We still really don't know why. That has been confirmed, though. The girls were seen in a way that shouldn't have been accessible. Why are those large mirrors there, and what are they serving? Administration removed these mirrors before an adequate investigation was completed. SUSD needs to follow through with a thorough investigation so parents can feel safe sending their girls back to school. Thank you.
Stacy is up, followed by Mike Bengert.
Good evening, board members. My name is Stacy DeMaranville. I'm a BCBA, that's a board certified behavior analyst, currently with Mesa School District, but I'm a former teacher from SUSD as well. I, like a few other parents, was made aware of the situation. There are others here that have explained their points of view, being from Mr. Faulkner's family to other parents whose children did attend his classroom. I'm speaking also as a parent, but also as a professional. My daughter's currently trying out for 7th grade volleyball at Cocopa. That aside, I'm here speaking as a professional in education, and something here seems really amiss. You all are board members, you all have power, you all can make decisions and help. I look at these missions, these value statements, which I have for my district too. I know that you mean them, but we have to put this into action. My problem with this situation is that we're left, again, with no transparency. Where's the integrity? We just want to know what's going on. There has to be a uniform policy and procedure for when these serious accusations come up. It can't just be left to Mr. Olney to decide or a principal to decide. I'm a huge fan of principals. They make my job easier, but also it's a lot of work. We have to have a blueprint and a safeguard. We live in a policy of whistleblower laws, of say something, do something. Why is this not applied to Scottsdale? Why is it left to a small group of individuals? I sit on IEP teams. It's a panel with a parent included. Why is there not a greater panel? Why don't we understand what happened in this procedure all summer long? I don't think Ms. Hale, I don't know her personally, I don't think she wanted to do this on her own. I would like more transparency, and I would like for you to help us so that we all feel comfortable, we feel safe again, and we know the facts of the situation. Personally, I don't understand the mirrors either. I'm in classrooms all day long. I've never seen such things. I've also never seen pardon me, adults walk into the bathroom. I deal with children with severe behavior. I never go in the bathroom. It's just not done. So please look into these things. I ask you to have a better policy and a better blueprint for the children and for the parents to feel comfortable. Thank you very much.
Mike Bengert, followed by Jennifer Sheedy.
I'm Mike Bengert. I'm a grandparent of 2 kids that attend Cheyenne. For the past 2 years, I have served on the Secondary Novel Review Committee. The previous committee included parents, teachers, staff, and community members. It is structured this way to create a fair and representation of the community, not just in terms of people or ideas and thoughts and beliefs Once consensus is reached about a novel, the committee's recommendation is presented to the board for adoption or not. This year, for the first time, students can participate in the committee. I think this is not only a bad idea, but may also violate Arizona law. Asking students to weigh in on what material should be used in the classroom is too much. We are the adults tasked with overseeing the education of students, or at least we are supposed to be and should act like it. If you let the students vote on the novels to use, why stop there? Let them be part of the curriculum selection process as well. We don't, because they are young and don't have the necessary life experiences nor the critical thinking skills to make informed decisions. Another reason this is a bad idea is that it will violate the parental notification requirements of Arizona law. The law requires SUSD to have procedures by which parents may learn about the course of study and review learning materials, including supplemental materials. Parents may object because the material questions beliefs or practices in sex, morality, or religion. All of this is supposed to happen in advance of the use of the materials. If their child is on the committee and assigned a book to read, how will the parents' rights be protected? Providing the parents with a list of book titles up front without identifying the objectionable material doesn't meet the requirement. Why did the district send a parental notification letter for AP psychology class identifying the specific unit and description of the sexual content it contained? Why wasn't it enough to provide the title of the textbook? Because it isn't. How do you identify potentially objectionable material in a few dozen or more novels without reading them? You don't. This is what the committee, made up of adults, not students, does. Once identified, parents are put on notice about the objectionable material is and given the opportunity to opt their child out. I'm requesting the board direct Dr. Menzel to remove any students who may have been applied for the committee, and further direct the students shall not be allowed to participate in any district committee dealing with adoption of curriculum, learning materials, or supplemental educational materials. Thank you.
Jennifer Sheedy, followed by Jade. Is it?
Hi, I'm Jennifer Sheedy. I also am a product of SUSD, and I have a daughter just graduated from Arcadia, and one is a junior. I'm also Julie Young's sister, and David Faulkner is my brother-in-law. I have known David for over 10 years and can tell you with 100% certainty he is not the predator that Veronica Hale is attempting to make him out to be. He's a very popular teacher and much loved by his students. I went to, one of my girls played volleyball, went to a game years ago and was sitting next to a woman. We struck up a conversation, and her son had David Faulkner at that time, and she raved about him. They loved him. They had a nickname. They called him the Falconator. She said all of the kids love to be in his classroom. He likes to make his classroom fun, stand out from the other classrooms, brings in plants and decorations and props just to enhance learning and engage the kids more and make everything fun. David Faulkner is a good man, and he's a very dedicated teacher. He did not do what Victoria Hill is accusing him of doing. She apparently had a concern, took it to the school, and he did everything that the school board and the investigation asked him to do to the letter. He spoke with the police. Everybody found that there was nothing there. There was no accusation except for Veronica Hale. And he had been cleared by everybody. So when Ms. Hale did not get the results she wanted, she wrote a letter to all of his incoming families for this year. And I ask you, how is he supposed to teach in that environment now? She has made it very unsafe. There is also, her letter was posted on a Facebook page called Recall Them All with a narrative that actually used the word pedo. And then there were a couple of public responses. Derek Hopper, Menzel has no problem protecting pedos. Well, how about the Scottsdale Unified?
Jade, is it? Followed by Shayna Jaffe.
Hi, my name is Jade Izette, and I'm a graduate of SUSD and a parent of 3 kids at SUSD right now. And I'm very happy that we moved to SUSD this year and last year with my son who was struggling at a charter school. I'm here to speak on behalf of Veronica Hale, who I love and adore and have known her for over 10 years when she was my middle son's preschool teacher. She has a pure heart, and she has become a part of our family based on what she gives and who she gives everything to. She is honest and a wonderful human. She would never speak ill of anyone and wants only the best for all of those. I hope that our administration will see that her heart is pure and she just wants the best interest for our children. The fact that her name was released in all of this is a shame, to me, it's against victim rights, and it should never have been released, and it's unfortunate. She sat back and waited with this information the entire summer and let the process run out and see how it would come. She appealed it and continued because her gut told her that it wasn't right. So I would hope that others would take her word and really look at the time and investigate this. She is not a CRT parent, nor is she any of the horrible things that people are saying about her. She's absolutely wonderful. And I hope that this unfortunate event brings light to how we handle these processes. And I know that myself as an active parent and a lot of other parents would be more than happy to create a panel or give any type of suggestions on how this can be more transparent. Like she said earlier, the other parent, that we just need more transparency. That's all we want. And coming from a school that wasn't transparent, I would really loved that our new school has been transparent. So I would hope that the board and the district would continue that as well. Thank you.
Last up is Shayna Jaffe.
Hi, my name is Shayna Jaffe. I'm a proud parent of 2 students at Pueblo and 2 foreign exchange students at Chaparral. Arizona ranks 48th lowest in the nation for funding our public schools, receiving $8,000 less than the national average per student. It's only with the help of the budget overrides that Scottsdale schools remain competitive and our communities continue to prosper. Research shows that high-quality public schools dramatically increase property values, contribute to business attraction, employee retention, and enhance a community's quality of life. The best news is that a vote to continue the maintenance and operations override does not increase your taxes. What it does do is pay for full-day kindergarten, full-day Wednesdays, and for all grades. It supports the co-curricular programs that make SUSD excellent, including music, arts, world languages, and athletics. It supports our teachers by providing professional development and competitive compensation. In short, continuing the override benefits our students and teachers while maintaining our community's quality of life and preserving our high property values. Where you find great neighborhoods, you'll always find great schools. As concerned parents and dedicated community leaders, we urge you to join us and vote yes on your mail-in ballot this November. Additionally, I would like to congratulate our district for the findings of the Economic Impact Report, which reveals that SUSD spending produces a 5-to-1 ROI for taxpayers. That makes SUSD one of the best taxpayer investments in the state. Congratulations.
And that concludes our public comment portion this evening. Do governing board members, any of you have comments about our public comment? Board Member Werner.
Thank you. I have 2, President Sanowski. One, I would like to direct Superintendent Menzel to use his discretion and make whatever necessary exceptions for Mr. Mayhew to be able to participate in football. The second is I'd like to look into and make sure that we have community members on our novels committee. Thank you.
Any other commentary? Then we will move on to...
No, I have my light on.
Sorry, Board Member Carney.
Thank you. Yes, I would like, Dr. Menzel, for you to give the board a report on the student that is looking to play chaparral football, on why he was denied. I would like to see our process on that and see all communication on why he was disqualified from that, and also would like to see him reinstated so that he's able to play football at Chaparral High School. And I also would like to direct Dr. Menzel to inform the board of why students are being allowed on curriculum committees. Thank you.
Seeing that there are no other requests related to this topic, we're going to move on to superintendent comments. Dr. Menzel.
Thank you, President Sanowski and members of the governing board. Just a few things that I want to call your attention to this evening. As the school year gets underway, we have some positive things to celebrate. You may recall that last year at this time, we talked about some of our staffing challenges. Districts across the state and in the valley have been struggling to fill many positions, and I just want to report some good news. At the Nutrition Services back-to-school event, Patty informed me that we had 6 unfilled nutrition services positions this year compared to 40 last year, which is something to celebrate. In special education, we had 1.5 vacant certified positions compared to the 20 we had last summer. That's also positive news. We still need quite a few paraprofessionals, though, so if you know anyone who wants to work, we're still taking applications and want people who love kids and would like to be able to contribute to their success in our schools. And then finally, transportation. We're down 2 regular drivers, which is also a significant improvement over last year, and the concerns that we had about even being able to offer the full routes that we have. So kudos to the transportation department for all their work. I also want to call attention to the survey results from the back-to-school rally, Because Kids with Thomas C. Murray. More than 400 staff members have provided feedback so far, and as the 3 board members who attended know, it was well received. The message was inspiring, uplifting. People cried, people laughed, and in my 22 years of being a superintendent, I haven't had better feedback for an opening day event. Some people even said bring him back a second year, but overall it was a great way to start the school year and remind people of why we do what we do. I also want to give a success report related to the new ID cards that we have for transportation in particular. As board members may recall that every year at the beginning of the year, especially for our youngest children, sometimes figuring out buses, where to get on, where to get off, can sometimes be complicated. And we have in the transportation department, and building administrators know, we've had times where a student didn't show up where they were supposed to show up, and then we had all hands on deck trying to figure out where they were. Well, this year on the first day, we had 3 students who didn't arrive home or where the parents believed that they should be. Using the ID system, we were able to locate 1 student at a different bus stop. Remember, it tracks the bus, not the kid. 1 was still on the bus, and the 3rd was still at school because he didn't get on the bus. And so it took us less than 5 minutes in each case, as opposed to the typical 30 minutes or longer, to identify where the students were. And so it's just a nice success story to report that the system worked as it was designed. Finally, I want to identify two things. One, the economic impact study that was released, done by Arizona State University with a supplemental analysis by Rounds Consulting. That information is available on our website for the public to review. We will be having a presentation at the Joint Education Committee of the City of Scottsdale, SUSD, and Scottsdale Community College tomorrow evening, and a full report, formal presentation on August 29th with the researchers from Arizona State University, as well as Jim Rounds and a member of his team. So we look forward to continuing those conversations, but it really does tell a powerful story about the positive impact of public education, and more specifically, the positive impact of an SUSD education. Finally, I want to just give another shout out to Tavon for the ribbon cutting that we had and the renovation that's been done there, as well as the new Pueblo. It's so nice to be able to see all of the hard work pay off and to welcome our students into learning environments that reflect how much we value them and their success.
Thank you very much, Dr. Menzel. We're going to move on to agenda item 7, information and discussion items. I believe Dr. Benson is going to be leading off 7A, draft of proposed KPIs for the 23-24 school year. And KPIs, for those that are not aware of the acronym, it's Key Performance Indicators. Dr. Benson.
Good evening, all. Gonna hang for just a minute, tell our tech team, there we go. It's the bottom link, there you go. Oops, nope, the very bottom link. There you go, thank you. Good evening, President Sanowski, Vice President Werner, board members, Dr. Menzel and Gladys, and all here with us this evening. Tonight we are bringing forward a first draft of the KPIs and performance targets to guide our continuous improvement efforts for the 23-24 school year. The drafts include recommendations for continuation, slight revision, or new KPIs for your consideration, and proposed performance targets to measure each. The drafts also include questions and context that we purposely are bringing to your attention as we work to finalize the KPIs this month. Given their significance, we're affording 3 opportunities to entertain your feedback, questions, and insight this August. Tonight, we'll highlight our process, invite your high-level questions, and provide a means for you to pose your questions and ideas prior to the special study session we've added on August 22nd. At that meeting, we'll respond to your questions and further solidify our KPIs and performance targets. And on August 29th, we'll present the recommended final list of KPIs and the performance measures for your approval and invite our board to identify which of our KPIs we should prioritize for the 23-24 school year. To get us started, I wanted to situate this first read as part of our ongoing efforts to implement our strategic plan approved by the board June of 2022, and as part of our commitment to hold ourselves accountable to our results. This cycle of continuous improvement we're now engaged in involves monitoring reporting of our progress, analyzing our data and considering our context, and annually resetting KPIs and performance measures to ensure we're focusing on what matters most. Many of the KPIs we initially established last summer as we launched our strategic plan can be continued, as was our intent, allowing us to continue to make progress and measure our progress over time. The majority of our 22-23 KPIs are nationally normed benchmark areas, but we did include a few KPIs and performance targets more specific to our context in SUSD, and we wanted to note that as we engage in these conversations this August. To ensure we're all on the same page, wanted to remind all of the definition of a KPI we shared last summer, in that the KPIs are critical key indicators of progress towards an intended result. Thus, while there are lots and a host of areas schools and districts measure, establishing KPIs that can be nationally normed and benchmarked is recommended, and we're continuing to use this recommendation as our guide. As a reminder also, in our commitment to be transparent and hold ourselves accountable, we shared out our progress on our priority KPIs last June, indicating whether we met, partially met, or didn't meet each priority KPI. And we revealed the public dashboard we developed to share our progress towards each KPI with all stakeholders, which is now situated on our district website. Those results shared last June are again linked on this slide, and we included these results in our first draft of KPIs for 23-24 that you received this evening to try to keep reviewing them most simple for all. Our process to bring forward the draft KPIs and performance targets tonight involved continued conversations and reflection amongst the co-leaders of our STAT teams, our strategic action teams, after the June 6th board meeting, additional analysis and conversation during our June retreat with our extended cabinet members, and designated work times during cabinet again this July and August. The draft documents include last year's baselines and again the results, new performance targets for your consideration, recommendations for slightly revised KPIs or a handful of new KPIs altogether, and notes to clarify information and pose questions for your consideration. Just for those that haven't checked board docs, I'll click on this so persons can see how it is organized. By area, goal area, there is a document linked in Google here, but also was downloaded and uploaded again as a PDF for board docs. So they are looking like that. We also included notes to clarify information or pose questions for your consideration. An example of a note or context we've highlighted and we wanted to bring your attention includes something like this. We have a KPI that indicates maintaining or increasing the % of appropriate certified teachers is important. We would agree. We may want to keep that exactly as is. But context we believe is important to bring to light is that to address the teacher shortage nationwide, non-traditional programs and pathways are increasing. In fact, that's one of our other KPIs, that we're bringing more of those forward. Considering such context as we refine KPIs will likely allow us to be most successful in establishing and meeting performance targets moving forward. That's why we've included those notes like that for your consideration. To invite your thinking and questions on this first draft submitted tonight, we've created a Google Doc to capture your suggestions and questions that you might pose between now and August 22nd. Again, that special meeting intended for us to further this conversation.
Board members are invited to send those to us over email, and I'm happy to serve as point on that to capture them and gather them up, bring them back to our co-leaders and our cabinet members, as we will be meeting and reviewing and preparing to discuss your questions and answers to your questions at the special meeting on August 22nd. All right, lined up. There we go. Next steps include that our strategic action teams are reconvening this fall to continue implementation efforts. And as we've indicated, we're going to respond to your questions and bring that you pose and make forward progress at our August 22nd special meeting, scheduled just for this purpose. We intend to wrap these up during our August 29th meeting, finalizing KPIs, performance targets, and identifying priority KPIs at that time. Again, I wanted to thank our co-leaders. You can wave if you're here, our co-leaders, and all serving on our strategic action teams for their continued commitment to implement and pave the way to allow us to make continued progress within each of the goal areas identified in our strategic plan. To wrap up, I want to remind all that each of our goal areas in our strategic plan involves a multi-year implementation timeline involving planning and researching, implementing and monitoring, and efforts to sustain each initiative, thus the need to reestablish performance measures annually. And with that, we're happy to entertain your feedback or high-level questions this evening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Benson. Governing board members, do any of you have any questions? Dr. Benson, I will note you answered my questions, specifically how you would like feedback to come to you, so thank you. Are there any other questions for Dr. Benson? Board Member Carney.
Thank you, Dr. Benson. I just have a couple things. Can you explain how we as board members are going to be able to tie these KPIs back to policy CBI-EA for superintendent evaluation instrument?
I might be able to do that, but we might have friends at the table that can help us do that as well. Dr. Menzel, would you like to respond to that question?
So that's part of the intent, is that as the board establishes the KPIs, that's tied to our strategic plan. From that, the board identifies what the performance plan is for the superintendent. So the first step in the process is identifying, any revisions to the KPIs and the targets we have. And then from there, the board identifies what are the ones that they want me to specifically focus on for this upcoming year. And that is then the basis for the performance plan.
And I will just add, last year, the bulk of those were the priority key performance indicators that were identified by the governing board, that those were most closely tied to that evaluation piece.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's important that we really try and tie those together this time. And then just one question I had on math, because I know we are really targeting middle school math. It's got to be our priority, right? But how is that reflected here? I don't see any new KPIs toward math or academic achievement in that area.
I'm going to click to that area. Appreciate the question, Board Member Carney. Let's take a look in academic excellence. So as we indicated in the presentation, we try purposefully to hit benchmark key areas over time so we can measure our progress. So we've got 3rd grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, and 11th grade measures. We have had one question received from the board to add a 9th grade algebra. Consider that as well. So we're happy to entertain more of your thinking here and your insights here, and we'll capture that and bring it back to you. So right now, it's only the 8th grade metric that's reflected in our current academic middle level math area. Good question.
Great. Yeah, I definitely like to see us add more goals toward our math, middle school math specifically when it comes to achievement. So thank you.
Vice President Werner.
Thank you. So what process did you use to obtain the KPIs last year? And what is the process that you plan to use this year since we did not meet our KPIs last year?
Appreciate the question, Vice President Werner. So I was just onboarding during that process too. We had an outside facilitator, Connie Cam, that at the culmination of the strategic plan was tied a commitment to a key performance indicator so that we had all of the goals reflected and a commitment associated with or connected to each KPI. We actually have a document that shows that. I'm happy to provide that because some of our newer board members may not have seen that from last summer. So it shows the alignment to every single commitment included in the strategic plan. So we, at the June 6th board meeting, did show which of the areas we met and which of the areas we have not met or that we partially met. So in our analysis this time, as we're bringing forward you the first draft, some of those we wanted to keep the same and continue our progress to make on that area that we've already identified that was super important. In a couple of areas, we're not sure we were measuring quite exactly the right thing, so we've actually proposed, and we were really transparent about that. We struck through and said, we'd like our governing board to consider this because we believe it's going to allow us to focus on what matters most a little more significantly moving forward. When we first introduced the KPIs last year, some of the questions that people proposed are they dynamic or are they supposed to be static over time? And given the context and in talking with others that have led this work, they're intended to be dynamic to entertain context, allow us to establish new ones where we've met KPIs, but also to consider onboarding of new board members and areas of focus too. So they are dynamic. The bulk of them are carryovers from the year previous. If we hadn't met them, we explained why we might recommend something else in the notes, but we're happy to entertain more of that conversation on the 22nd.
Okay, so because there's really three key areas that every KPI would lead up to, and that is academic achievement, which falls under grades and test scores. It's enrollment, retaining our students and having parents choose to put their kids in Scottsdale Unified, and then retaining and recruiting quality teachers. And so, and we had some issues last year, so I just want to see that our processes change in a way that we can be successful in our ultimate goals. And I actually have a question for you as well, Dr. Menzel. You know, what process did you use to obtain KPIs last year?
So it was one and the same. So the district's key performance indicators aren't separate from my key performance indicators. The governing board then identified which of the key performance indicators were priority. And that was done at a workshop session. The preliminary work was done with people who were part of our strategic planning committee. That was facilitated by Dr. Connie Kam, and it was tied to those core commitments that are built into our strategic plan. So there's alignment throughout the entire system, and a recognition that KPIs are supposed to be stretch goals, aspirational. So you may not meet all of them, but the goal is to be able to do that. You don't want to set the bar so low that it's too easy, and you don't want to necessarily set it so high that it's impossible to achieve. One of the things that we did, and you'll notice that in some of the KPIs, is that we identified, where we want to be in 3 years from now so that you can make incremental progress. In talking with other educational consultants, there's a debate. If you set a specific target and you make progress towards it, but you don't reach the target, is that a success or a failure? When we talk about our kids and their academic achievement, where they are in a class, if they make progress, but they don't reach the actual goal, is that a win or not a win? And ultimately, it depends on where the student is and what kinds of support they need and how far behind they were. If they're 2 grade levels behind and they make 1.5 years worth of progress, that's a win, even if they didn't test proficient, right? Because they made 1.5 years worth of progress. So when we think about what the key performance indicators are, it's about really looking at those dashboard indicators that say we're moving in the right direction, we're focused on the right work, and our students are succeeding as a result of the work that we're doing, our teachers, our support staff, everyone in the system, because it takes everyone within the system to be successful. And with respect to then my performance goals, those are a subset of what's here, because there's a whole lot that gets done in the district. There are things that are directly within my area of responsibility, and there are other things that may be tangentially related. I'm responsible for the overall operation of the district, but the board will decide. So once you pick the KPIs, then we have the conversation about what specific performance targets you want for me to spend time and energy on. As many people know, the saying, what gets measured gets done. We want to make sure that we're measuring the right things.
Yeah, thank you. Last question. And when we're looking at testing, and so I'm just top one here is the 3rd grade ELA, 65%, the increases to 68%. So when we're using specific testing measures, what is considered passing on on the specific test. So whether it's the ACT or the formula AZ Merit, what is considered passing? So if we're looking at 65% pass rate, is that a passing of a C? Is that a passing of a D or an A? What is that?
So we've got our Dr. Bachner here with us, and I'm going to attempt to begin to answer that. I believe the cut scores change annually. Am I correct about that, Dr. Bachner, for AASA?
So there's performance levels on the test score, and yes, there are cut scores that are slightly different by grade level. So what's showing on the screen there is the percentage of our students that pass the test. It does vary slightly by grade level and by subject area.
Okay, so pass, like if it's 100%, there's 100 questions, it's worth 100 points. So is pass 60 or is it pass 70, 80? That's what I mean. So what's the grade? So if you have, here's an example. So if we have 65% that are getting A's on these tests or scoring that, I mean, that's pretty good, right? So what is the passing?
Have to get into a little bit more. It's more nuanced. It's a 4-digit scale score that the state adjusts based on having teachers rank the items in terms of passing or not passing. So there's a group of teachers that decide how this is scored.
Okay.
And so it can vary. So it's not really as defined as 100 questions, 60 counts as passing.
Yeah, so the question was asked of me. I did not have that answer. So if you can maybe just send that in an email at some point.
Absolutely.
That would be great.
We can bring it back up on the 22nd, too,
Yeah,
and show
thank you.
those measures by grade level.
And I just wanted to add, so when we use AASA, the state's test, there's a process by which those cut scores are determined to get, the proficient. There's 4 levels that you can score on that. When it comes to some of the other things, we talked about passing with a grade of C or better. That would be your more conventional approach because that's a grade that's given. So we'll make sure that we differentiate, what's determined at the state level and how those move versus the ones that are typical grades that teachers would award.
Thank you.
Board Member Carney.
Thank you. I feel like the 3% increase is inadequate. How are we coming up with that?
Appreciate the question, Board Member Carney. We, last year, I believe, during the retreat, we established as a goal over 3 years 10% increments and 3% per year for the first 2 years and 4% for the final year. So that's kind of initially consistently agreed upon to have that benchmark 10% over 3 years increase per area.
Okay, because I'd like to see us have higher expectations for the students, and I want to know why don't we have KPIs for each school site, so we can really see how we can best help the students that are running or behind, because when we see 3% of a total, it really means nothing, because some of the schools could be coming in really high, and others are coming in low. So how come we don't have KPIs for each individual school?
So we have district benchmarks or KPIs that we monitor our progress towards, but then our next layer of continuous improvement involves CIP or site continuous improvement plans, where they set their school goals based on their performance level. So there's a whole nother layer there that's site by site, and then we go down another layer and go classroom by classroom with our teachers. So it's the continuous improvement plans completed by our leadership teams, principals and teachers, part of that get to that specificity per campus.
Okay, and so that is being done and being fed to Dr. Menzel so we can use that data. Okay, thank you.
I do not believe we have any. Do you know if Dr. Hartwells has joined us? Okay. Dr. Hartwells, do you have any questions or comments about the proposed KPIs, the draft of the KPIs in place for the 23-24 school year?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, great. Just a comment in response to board members' question about the academic achievement, 10% over 3 years. That's rooted in a National Academy of Sciences report on K through 12 education. And then I do questions in already, and I will continue to do that on August 28th or 9th. I would ask consideration under the optimized resources KPIs for a KPI directed to optimizing land use.
We have those.
And the rest I will just send in writing. It can be easier to digest that than me talking from the cloud.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hartwells. And to note for the public's interest, we have before us KPIs relating to our goals of culture and climate, academic excellence, optimized resources, as well as talented and qualified professionals. So we have several of our goals included in that. And thank you, Dr. Benson, for clarifying the different layers of our expectations and goals put in place. And to note, teachers have their own individual ones that then their administrator helps them evaluate as well. So it's from an individual level to the comprehensive overall district, where we do evaluate and set goals for student growth and professional growth. I do not believe there are any more questions on this, so thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you.
Benson.
We look forward to your questions and insights.
All right, we're going to move on to the consent agenda right now. Board Member Carney had asked that we pull G from the consent agenda. Go ahead, Board Member Carney.
She just noted she had a conflict, so she's going to
She's going to abstain?
So we just need to,
Okay.
act
So
on that
we,
separately.
when we act on that separately. Okay, and then Dr. Hartwells, you had requested J to be pulled. Would you like to address your concerns now?
Yes, thank you, Board President Sanal. I actually had sent a question just to clarify. I have no issues with this as to the extent I understand it accurately. Could you please confirm that the proposal is to extend the $4,000 stipend to the Shine, Score, and KABC teachers, and not to extend $8,000 to them? There's a in addition to phrasing in the background that I found confusing. So I just requesting a clarification.
Dr. Menzel?
It is correct that it's extending to those categories that were previously inadvertently omitted. So it's still 4,000. It's not a doubling of any stipend. It's just 4,000 for the group of listed employee groups that classifications that were not included previously.
Thank you. In case, shall we move to approve J?
Thank you, Dr. Hartwells. Were you making a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve consent item J.
Okay, and I would like to second that. All in favor to approve consent agenda J, approve additional compensation for special education teachers for the 23-24 school year. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
That motion passes 5-0. Let's move back to G on the consent agenda, personnel action items. And the specific date is posted there. I'd like to make a motion to approve it as it is stated. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Board Member Warner. Thank you. All in favor to approve the personnel action item 8G, say aye.
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 Thank you, Dr. Hartwells, and I note that Board Member Carney has abstained from that vote. Okay, we're going to regular consent agenda. I'd like to make a motion to approve the regular consent agenda as we had amended it, but is there a second on that?
Second.
Seconded by Board Member Lindsay. All in favor, say aye.
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 That motion passes 5-0. Thank you. All right. At this time, I'd like to make a motion for us to move into executive session. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Board Member Warner. All in favor to move into executive session, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
That motion passes 5-0. We are going to move into executive session this time. after our executive session, we will leave the room. I cannot guarantee what time we'll be done with our executive sessions this evening. You're welcome to stay in here if you'd like, but we will reconvene back in here after we have finished. All right, the time is 9:57. At this time, we reconvene our regular meeting of the Scottsdale Unified School District Governing Board. I make a motion to adjourn executive session. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Board Member Werner. All in favor to adjourn executive session, say aye. 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 That motion passes 5-0. Thank you. In regards to 9A, the executive session to receive legal counsel or to discuss the KEB complaint, we also had an addition of our executive session to receive legal counsel and options available following the KEB complaint. I want to make it very clear, this board would like to make it very clear that we want all of our schools to be safe for students, staff, and individuals' freedoms to come forward with concerns. So I would like to make a motion to uphold the KEB complaint and further direct the superintendent put in place a better process to address issues of concern in a timely and comprehensive manner so that facts of the details can be preserved and strengthened through a process so that complaints and concerns are relevant. Is there a second?
Madam President?
Yes, go
May I
ahead.
make one clarification?
Please.
So your motion is to uphold the denial of the KEP complaint?
Correct, thank you.
Okay.
Is there a second to that, upholding the denial of the KEB complaint?
Second.
Seconded by Board Member Lindsay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
No.
Opposed by Board Members Carney and Werner. That motion does pass 3-2. Moving on to 9B, in regard to the second executive session regarding the matters discussed referring to Jay Rattay. I move that we vote to advise council to support the recommendations as discussed in executive session relating to Jay Rattay. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Board Member Lindsay. All in favor, say aye.
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 That motion passes 5-0. In regards to 9C, I would like to make a motion to direct council to submit the June 26 opinion for Attorney General review. Is there a second to that motion? Okay, hearing. Excuse me?
Second.
There is a seconded to that motion. All in favor to direct our counsel to submit the June 26 opinion for Attorney General review, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
That motion does not pass with a 2-3 vote. So there is no direction to council regarding that issue.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board.
Yes, you're welcome. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to, not to adjourn. We have a couple things to take care of beforehand. Let's see here. Future items. Board members, do you have any requests for future topics for consideration?
Add two. First one is to have an investigation or audit into the investigative process from our HR department. And the second one is to create new policies and procedures regarding how investigations happen from the time of reporting to the process of how things happen so that we don't have these situations again. Thank you.
And I note that last item was addressed in our vote and board approval from executive session. Any other requests? Board Member Carney.
Thank you. I would like to see the wellness committee should move from a superintendent committee to a board committee since it's required by statute. And
Are you suggesting then for future items a discussion on that, or proposing action, or what are you?
Proposing action.
Okay.
And then I would also would like an updated visitor volunteer process for this upcoming school year, as I've been unable to get that and being asked for it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any others? Dr. Hartwells, do you have any?
Yes, thank you, Board President Snowski. I'd like to request a discussion of the board for adoption of the Robert's Rules of Order.
Okay. Anything else, Dr. Hartwells?
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay. I would like to request for revision of policy BEDB to remove the inclusion of governing board reports. I would also like some type of proposal to sync our IGAs with the City of Scottsdale and the City of Phoenix to run parallel in regards to expectations for our SROs. I believe all students deserve the same expectations of safety and support while on our campuses, regardless of which city entity is supporting the officers on our campuses. I also would like for us to renegotiate our IGAs to work towards an equitable split of financial responsibilities between our cities and the district for our SROs. And then I would like for us to begin the work on our organizational charts so that January does not sneak up on us when administrative contracts roll around. And I'd like for our to redefine some of the titles and the scope of work and positions. And that's it from me. Dates of upcoming meetings. I note that our next meeting is Tuesday, August 22nd, 2023 at 6 p.m. That will be a special governing board meeting held at our Mojave District Annex. Then Tuesday, August 29th, we will have a special governing board meeting at our MDA at 6 p.m. as well. And that's 3 meetings in August. Okay. And then Tuesday, September 12th, 2023, 6 p.m., regular governing board meeting back here at Coronado High School. And that would, next time we're back here is September 12th. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Board Member Lindsay. All in favor to adjourn this meeting, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
That motion passes 5-0. The meeting is adjourned.